When I created the first part to this mini course, I never intended for there to be a second part, but when I was editing it, I realized I forgot to cover something pretty important, so I'm going to create a quick part 2. What I'd like to talk about in this video is how we can create an NPM module that can be installed globally, so we can run some commands from the command line that the module sets up. Currently, the only way to access our code is to install it, require it, and then call the various exports. We want to set up a new command that can be run from anywhere via the command line. To get this done, the first thing we need to do is set up the bin property inside of package.json. This is going to let us specify a bunch of key value pairs, where the key is the new command we would like to create, and the value is the location for the script we want to run. So in this one, we're going to set up a single command greeter, and we're going to have it run a script that doesn't yet exist. We will create it in just a moment though. I'm going to create a bin directory, and in there we'll make a new one called greeter.js. Let's go ahead and save package.json. That's the only change we need to make. Now we're going to make the folder and the file. Inside of Mead module, we'll create that bin directory, and in the bin directory, we'll create greeter.js. Now, it's by no means required you toss it in a bin directory. I'm just doing this for convention's sake. And in here, this is the code that's going to run when someone runs greeter from the command line. Now, in our case, what we need to do is tell the operating system that we want to run this as Node.js, not a bash script. And to do that, we use a shebang, which you might have seen if you've done any scripting in your days on Linux or Unix. Right here, that is hashtag !/ user bin env space node. This tells the operating system that the rest of the file should be interpreted through the node program. That's going to allow us to use JavaScript down here, something that wouldn't be supported otherwise. Now, Windows doesn't know what to do with this, but that's okay because NPM takes care of that for us. So you'll be able to follow along exactly the same way. Down below, let's go ahead and add some node. Maybe I can read and write from the file system or make an HTTP request to fetch the weather to create a weather command line tool. Or for the moment, we can just go ahead and use console.log to dump some text to the screen. This is from my global module. Perfect. The goal is to just get this printing in the terminal. Now, to do this, we are not going to push a new version of the application and install it globally just yet. We can actually use NPM Link just like we saw in the previous part 1 video. I can run NPM Link from the root of the project. This is going to link everything up, and it's going to allow us to access this command from the command line. So down here now, I should be able to run greeter, and when I run it, I should get, this is from my global module, the exact text I have over here. And remember, with this link, these files are mapped one-to-one, so a change to this file will be reflected instantly down below. Here you can see I now have 4 exclamation marks as opposed to 1, even though I didn't run any installation command. Now, from here, we can also go ahead and use the command line arguments available to us, console.log, process.argv, that's where those live. So if someone did pass in some text like their first name or their full name, we can get that back. And right here, we see we have Andrew Mead in that array. Now, if you are going to be using command line arguments, which you most likely will, I don't recommend manually parsing this. Instead, I recommend using yargs. It makes it super easy to set up flags, argument values, all that sort of stuff. It's built in. Let's take just a quick second to set that up. NPM install, save flag. We're looking for yargs, and then we're going to go ahead and use just the most basic implementation. Yargs supports a ton of stuff, help commands, required arguments. We're not going to use any of that. I'm just going to show you the most bare bone feature. Right here, let's make a new const argv. This is going to be the parsed argument object, and we are going to get it from a call to require, requiring yargs. This is going to do all the parsing, and it gives us an object back, and we want the argv property on it. So this is a super common line you're going to see in the yargs documentation, which is available on NPM. So from here, let's go ahead and console.log argv and take a look at exactly what we get. This time, instead of running the command greeter with the string right afterwards, I'm going to specify the name argument, and I'll set it equal to Andrew Mead. And now we get something much nicer. Right here, we have our object. This is the one that Yargs parsed. We have a name property set to the string, and that makes it really easy to work with. We don't have to do all of that manual parsing ourselves. It even supports the various formats. So for example, an equal sign, everything is still going to work as expected. We can leave all of that work to Yargs, and we can just go ahead and do what we want to do. From here, let's go ahead and try to actually use the greeter function inside of the greeter.js file, which is going to run when our command runs. And we're going to try to get that name and pass that into the function. Now it's important to note that if I call greeter and I pass in the name flag without a value, it actually gets set equal to true. This is Yarg's way of telling you, hey, they did call it with name. In our case, we only ever want to pass the value into the greeter function if it's a string. We want a real name as opposed to just true. So we're going to do a little type checking right here. Let's create a const greeter and we'll set it equal to a call to require. And we're going to require this file. So it's going to be a relative path starting off with ... to go up a directory out of bin. From there, we have index.js. Perfect. This is going to allow us to use the greeter function. Now down below, we can go ahead and set that up. Console.log, in there, greeter. And now we're going to go ahead and try to pass the correct thing in. For this one, I can go ahead and use type of, checking if the type of argv dot name is equal to a string. If it is equal to a string, I'll use the ternary operator to pass that in. If it's not equal to a string, we can just pass in undefined. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and save greeter.js and remove everything down below, saving the file once again. And now we can try to test this out. So from the command line, I'm going to run the command I had previously without a name provided. When I do that, I get hello user, user being the default we set up over here. Now let's go ahead and try to pass in a name. I'm going to pass in Andrew. And here we get hello Andrew. And if I pass in Andrew space Mead, I get hello Andrew Mead. So using a combination of Yargs and this new bin property in package.json, we can create a command line tool that does something meaningful with very, very little code. Now, obviously, we want to allow others to install and use this as well. So we're going to go ahead and run npm unlink to unlink this module that's going to remove the greeter command. So if I try to rerun one of the previous commands, it's no longer going to work. Now what we want to do is publish a new version of the module and install it globally via NPM. Over inside of package.json, what I would like to do is tweak the version. I'm going to go ahead and set this equal to 1.3.1, save the file, and now we can use npm publish. This is going to publish the brand new version that does indeed contain this guy, and if someone does install it globally, they're going to get access to this. That means that we can still use the module exactly as we did over here. If I run npm update to grab the latest version, the application is still going to work as expected. We can prove this by running node space app.js, and even though we're using the new version, the app still functions. This now allows our module to be installed globally though, so let's give that a try too. npm install with the G flag to install it globally. Now mine is called Mead module. You can go ahead and type your own name in. And when I do this, it is going to install the module globally. It's going to register, in our case, greeter. And now we can run greeter. And we can see that our message is printing. Hello user shows up. I can pass in an argument setting name equal to Mike. Hello Mike shows up. Everything is working as expected. So that is all it takes to create an NPM module that can be used both locally and globally. When you put those two together, you can create something really, really cool. That is it for part 2. Don't forget to subscribe in order to get very infrequent emails when I release a new course like this. I'll see you next time.